Welcome to Bloomberg Power Players, the series that talks to some of the most influential figures in the world of sport about their rise, the success of their sport, and what the future holds. Ice hockey, or simply hockey, it's one of the biggest sports in North America, and it's enjoying a boom. Viewership, that's ticking higher, and the National Hockey League passed $5 billion in revenue last season, thanks to new media deals and sponsorships. 25 of the 32 teams in the NHL, they're based in the US, including one which plays in the heat of the Sonoran Desert, the Coyotes. Now, it is the only minority-owned team in the NHL, with the first and only Hispanic president and CEO, Xavier Gutierrez, who is this episode's power player. He's committed to making hockey profitable in Phoenix, Arizona. He sat down with Bloomberg's Jason Kelly and discussed the long haul that he faced.
Xavier, it's so fun to be with you. Like, we're in the belly of the beast here. We're literally sitting in the locker room. When you are in this building or when you're amid this game, take me back. Like, is this where you imagined you'd be when you were growing up?
Well, Jason, it's always good to talk to you, and thanks for being here. We're here in the annex at Mullet Arena on the campus at ASU, and the short answer is absolutely not. You know, this has been an incredible journey for me to be here in this chair. I truly do feel very blessed, and I always start by thanking Alex Morello for giving me this opportunity. Obviously, Alex, the first Latino owner in the history of the NHL, when he bought the Arizona Coyotes. Never would I have imagined, nor could I have even scripted this, that I would be in professional sports, leading a team, leading a hockey team, leading the Coyotes, and being in this position as the first Latino president CEO in the history of the NHL. But it's an honor. It really is. And every day when I talk to my wife, Jerica, or I talk to my son, Javi, we do feel very blessed to be here. It has been a challenge, and I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit of that. But it's just incredible. You know, for me, the hope that I had was that I would be able to leverage this incredible power that sports has to make a difference in people's lives. And every single day, I get an opportunity to do that in various ways. And that's what I'm excited about.
What is it for you about hockey and your previous business career that meshes?
Well, I think it's about sports in general. And when you think about what I did before in terms of being in private equity or in banking or investments, you're really talking about people. You're talking about putting a team together, putting a strategy together. You know, I talk a lot about making structure out of chaos. And certainly in business, you do that quite a bit. And here, obviously, there's a little more structure. There's a season, there's games, there's a flow to what we do in terms of the calendar. But every day there's a new challenge, there's a new opportunity. And how do you execute on it? And it really comes down to people. I talk a lot about that. This is probably the most people-intensive business I've certainly ever been in my almost 30+ years in business. But really, it comes down to that. That's what meshes.
It's interesting, you know, going back through your CV, that you got an early taste of this. You were a financial analyst at the NFL, which I think is probably one of those things that people skip over because you had such a successful career in investing. I mean, that must have given you a sense of like, oh, the numbers underneath this are impressive.
I think the first thing that it gives you is a sense that this is a big business. This is there's a lot of, kind of levels to it, and whether it's at the team level, the league level, the media partners, the tech partners, that was the thing that really overwhelmed me was, you know, you think sports, right? You think, oh, you have teams that play, whether on the field or on the ice or on the pitch, but there is a massive business ecosystem, and it's only gotten more institutional. You know that quite well with the investors that have come in to actually own pieces of these teams, whether they be these private equity firms that have popped up or certainly some of the lenders and financing partners, but even a lot of the media partners and how sophisticated they are in their approach and in their business models. And so That was the first glimpse that I got that, wow, this isn't just football.
You touch on something that I think is really important in today's day and age, and that also presumably put some wind in your sails, which is this collision of worlds that's happening. And I think about, the people who you interacted with in your business career, even, through your schooling, whether it's Jose Feliciano at Clear Lake, now one of the co-owners of Chelsea, the folks at Blackstone and KKR and others. I mean, this is a new world when it comes to who is getting into the sports world.
Absolutely. And I'll actually mention someone else, which is Ali Weisberg at Brooklyn Sports and Entertainment, who was my classmate in college and who I've really reconnected, obviously, in this role. He was kind enough to invite me very early on to speak to his organization. But you're right. What you're seeing is you always had high net worth individuals who owned teams and bought them. But now you're really seeing the investment in the actual clubs, in the enterprises, in the sports ecosystems, the fanatics of the worlds. And the league, I just saw that Serie A's media rights are being bid on by a number of banks and merchant banks and some of the funds that are out there. And so you're seeing this for what it is, which is it is an institutional, it's a global, it is a tech business, it's a media business, it's a real assets and real estate business. And so it's quite sophisticated, and the players that are coming into it as the business is certainly going to continue, and it's pretty exciting times.
And presumably a slightly different playbook, right? That maybe a deal maker brings to this business.
Sure. Well, I heard it said, I think, by an outgoing president of a team in the NBA. Look at where the organization was when I started 20 years ago and where it's at today. It is about intellectual property and content and distribution of content. It is about a global footprint in terms of brand expansion and amplification. We ourselves are leaning into a number of efforts, and you've heard me say this, to go after the non-fan and really go after them, whether through content or merchandise or our brand expansion and our brand partnerships. So it's a really, really sophisticated sort of pathway that you're seeing sports growing into, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
The playbook that is being utilized across all these sports, what does the playbook look like for you? Because this is a sport, a long popular sport, but in a new part of the country, a fast-growing part of the country for this sport. So when you get here, when you and Alex sit down and start to say, what does a hockey team look like in the desert, what do you see?
Well, we have a playbook that's actually anchored in something that I talk a lot about, which is impact. As you know quite well, Jason, there's only one winner every year. And we're going to build a winner. If you look at what we're doing with our hockey operations, I think over the course of 4 years, we will draft the largest number of players. And so we are building a sustainable winner with a foundation through the draft and then developing those players. We've also invested heavily in performance technology, player development, a lot of sleep science, nutrition, so to develop young players. So that is what we're doing. But for us, and it was very early on when Alex asked me to join him, where he said, really, I want to stand for more than just winning. I want to be a beloved organization. And how do you do that? You look at what you do for others. You look at how the difference that you can make in this community. And so for us, the concentric circle is really around impact. Now it also leads to our second vision pillar, which is inclusion. So inclusion is both bringing diverse voices to the seat of decision making, because it reflects those that you're trying to bring into the Coyotes world. But it also is about focusing on every component of the community. I'm very proud that we have the first Native American community on our jersey and the first social impact enterprise in Goodwill on our helmet. And so we have Gila River represented, and it's so unique to this community, such a big footprint that they have. That is what inclusion means. And then finally, innovation, really looking at solving problems and really looking at opportunities in a different way. Having grown up in Silicon Valley, everyone thinks innovation is technology. Technology helps you innovate. And so for us, we're using technology, but that's not the only thing that we're doing. We're looking at merchandise as an opportunity to go after this growth cohort of young, female, diverse tech savvy and purpose driven.
Coming up, Arizona Coyotes president and CEO gives his score on the efforts to widen the diversity in ice hockey.
We can be better. We can improve. We can continue to evolve. We can continue to reflect the values of the communities that we play in.
Last summer, the National Hockey League confirmed its problem with diversity. Just 7% of the players are Arab, Asian, Black, or Latino. 84% of the employees across the NHL and its teams are white. With those numbers as a backdrop, Bloomberg's Jason Kelly asked Arizona Coyotes president and CEO Xavier Gutierrez about the challenges and the adversities that he faces when trying to make a mark with such a skewed playing field.
You and Alex are outliers from a diversity perspective in terms of management. How do you make changes at the top that really changes the tone, but doesn't, throw the proverbial baby out with the bathwater of a great sport?
Well, I think it starts with that. You respect the sport, you respect its history, but you also say, we can be better. We can improve. We can continue to evolve. We can continue to reflect the values of the communities that we play in. And you can be a voice in that discussion. We talk a lot about the fact that we don't have the answers. Alex is constantly talking about, I am here to be part of the discussion to bring up solutions. And as a sports team and as a sports league, what we can do is we can convene people. We can create an understanding by people who may not know the other side or know what is possible. And that's what sports can do. I have the Nelson Mandela quote in my office about, sports having the power to change the world. And the first thing that he says is because it can convene people, it can unite them and bring them together.
So when you inevitably at this point now, a few years into your tenure, I'm sure you're asked by incoming CEOs, incoming owners of other sports, but certainly of hockey. What do you tell them? Like, what's your advice? Having sort of walked through the door into a new role, a new sport, what's your best advice for somebody who's taking over? We could see Ryan Reynolds owning an NHL team before too long. What would be your advice to someone coming into this sport?
So I didn't realize sort of this, group that you enter, regardless of sport or league. I've been very fortunate that I have picked up the phone and I've gotten phone calls from CEOs and presidents and even owners of other teams and other leagues. And you're sort of in this world that very few people, I think, can understand. And so you have a bond. And it's been great because what I share with them that I think does resonate is focus on why you're doing this. What is the purpose? For me, it was very clear that it was about this opportunity to make an impact. And whether it's the physical transformation of a landfill and the impact that will have on this community, or during COVID, when you really saw the power of sports to commerce and to culture and to communities by being that thing that could help unite them, could bring hope. I mean, we used our arena as a vaccination, as a testing center, vaccination center, blood drive, food drive, a drive through, Halloween effort because people couldn't go out and trick-or-treating with their kids. So the power that sports has to make an impact is what I share with them. And then finally, there's just very few people that you can knock on the door and say, so, I was in front of a bank of 90, media members and this question got asked. How would you deal with it? And I've been very fortunate. I moved to Arizona and my son Javi became very good friends with JD Jones, who's the son of James Jones, the president of basketball operations for the Suns. And so James and he was a player, an NBA champion. And, I've been very fortunate to just have these types of relationships where I can say, how did you deal with this? Because as someone's asked me, what the biggest differences between my previous career is the fact that I have reporters asking me questions every single day. Every day there's a section in the paper on our business. And that's probably the biggest, opportunity, but also, a challenge and something that I've never had to face before.
Let's look around the corner for the sport of hockey and sports in general, because it feels like we're at this catalytic moment. Player empowerment, new ownership coming in. How does hockey need to respond to everything that's going on in the world to stay relevant, to stay in the Big Four?
I think it needs to do more of what it's already on the path of doing. You know, we're really excited with the new partnership of our media partners with ESPN and Turner, and both of them bring a unique component. ESPN, obviously the worldwide leader in sports, really super serves our fan base. We were really excited, for example, to see just the incredible coverage of Alexander Ovechkin chasing, obviously, the goal record in the NHL, and chasing Gretzky. Seeing that's incredible to see that type of effort. And then Turner goes to that again. It's a little bit more pop culture. You have the obviously partnership with like a Bleacher Report, which was really youth oriented and youth centric. So the pathway of becoming more and more ingrained in sort of the youth culture, the streetwear culture, a lot of what the NHL is doing with merchandise. The retro reverse jersey program has been incredibly well received. As you know quite well, we partnered and became the first team to partner actually with a fashion designer, Luigi Villaseñor, who is the founder of Rude and the creative director for Bally's. For us, it's those efforts that you're now seeing the sport welcome. And so that's what you're seeing. You're seeing that embrace of all of these other factors that I think are really going to lead to a continued success and continue to keep not only hockey, but the NHL right in the core of sort of that mindset of young people, of fans in waiting.
Coming up, Xavier Gutierrez channels hockey legend Wayne Gretzky in his quest to build new audiences.
Wayne goes to where the puck is going. So where's the puck going in America, and where's it going here? When you look at Maricopa County, where we're sitting, which has 43% Latino.
Welcome back to Bloomberg Power Players. The National Hockey League is enjoying record revenues and exploring expansion beyond the current 32 teams. But persuading a wider audience to turn up for the games and support the team can be a challenge for any CEO. Arizona Coyotes Chief Executive Xavier Gutierrez tells Bloomberg's Jason Kelly how he's been building a fan base and a community around young people, women, and Hispanics.
All right, so let's talk about those fans, because you have an opportunity in this town, in this region that is unlike anybody else. If you think about America, where it is today and where it's going, I mean, you look here and it's all happening. And yet, hockey, I say this as a almost 50-year-old white guy, pretty white sport. There's not a lot of diversity on the ice. How do you change that, especially in the stands? How do you appeal? I know that you gave some of your first remarks in Spanish, when you took over the job. So what does that playbook look like?
Sure. Well, I think it starts by being intentional about welcoming those that I call fans in waiting, right? And for us, being intentional is you're consistent. This isn't something that's ancillary to the business plan. It's core to the business plan. And, very early on, I got asked by Commissioner Bettman to sort of articulate our business plan of attracting sort of a diverse fan base. And I used the Wayne Gretzky line, right? Wayne's father, when they asked him what made him so great, he said, Wayne goes to where the puck is going. So where's the puck going in America? And where's it going here? When you look at Maricopa County, where we're sitting, which has 43% Latino, in terms of its population, where between the ages of 8 and 13, 3 out of every 5 of those kids is Latino or of some sort of ethnic minority. That is where we're headed. That is who we're trying to embrace. And so for me, I've actually seen it. I tip my hat to the San Jose Sharks, my hometown. When they showed up, they turned that into a hockey town by going to these new communities, whether the Vietnamese community, the Latino community, the South Asian community, and said, you are a part of what we stand for. is the efforts across the league to go and say, who is here in our community? How do we welcome them? And how do we innovate to welcome? Hockey is an expensive sport. Ice time is very difficult to get, and it's very expensive. The equipment that, we're sitting here in a locker room full of equipment, it's pricey. How do you innovate and bring young people, in particular young people of color, into this sport? And I'm excited about all the opportunity.
It's clear that one of the linchpins of that plan is a new house that you're going to build down the road. Tell me about that plan. There's a lot of politics underneath it. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built. There's a lot of deal making that has to be done. Break that down for me, where you are and where you're going in the short term.
Sure. Well, we have proposed a transformative project. There is a landfill about 1.5 miles from here. It's 46 acres owned by the city of Tempe. And we have proposed turning it into a landmark, our catchphrase, a landfill to a landmark. It would be the first privately financed sports and entertainment district in the history of Arizona. And it will not just be an arena. I talk a lot about it being a best-in-class urban redevelopment project that is anchored by an arena, anchored by our practice facility, but it would include 2 hotels. It will include a 4,000-seat live theater, about 300,000 square feet of office space, and 2,000 units of housing, as well as a retail sort of corridor. Our vision would be something along the lines of a Rodeo Drive of Arizona. For us, that is the linchpin of the turnaround. And so excited that Alex Morello is willing to put in over $2 billion of his money in order to make it happen. And where we are right now, we got through a unanimous vote for the City of Tempe Council, and we're going to the voters. We took it to the voters ourselves. We think it's such a big project that every voter in Tempe should come in and have a say.
Before you move into a new home, you're in a temporary home. We are in your temporary home right now. I've had a chance to watch a game with you. It's a different experience being here on a college campus and in a much smaller arena. What have you taken from this experience?
Well, yeah, we're here for the next 3 to 4 years at Mullet Arena on the campus of ASU, Arizona State University. And first, I, again, tip my hat to Alex Morello. It took almost $30 million of an investment for a temporary solution. So not only building this annex, which was the locker room, the medical offices, the coaches' offices, but also doing a significant amount of upgrades into the arena to make it NHL quality in terms of broadcast, in terms of a game experience. We also moved our hockey operations, built out a players training facility that we bought. We moved our business operations. So an entire real commitment to say, this is the community we want to be a part of, this is where we want to stay, and we're willing to put our money where our mouth is. And then, unbeknownst to us, that's actually probably the best ice in the NHL. I think a part of it has to do with the smaller facility, with the fact that it's brand new. There were a couple of changes they made to the pipes underneath the ice that make that incredible ice. But for us, we knew it was going to be an energetic environment, very electric. We've had some incredible moments, and it has absolutely resonated across the NHL. I have a bunch of the owners calling me saying, we want to go see what's going on over there. And the players really are excited about it. Plus, the reality is we are in the location that we want to be permanently. This is the main and main of the state. This is where you have the restaurants, the corporate relocation, obviously right next to the largest public university in the country. It really creates a different energy for us.
Xavier Gutierrez, thank you so much for spending some time with me.
Thank you very much.
That was the Arizona Coyotes Chief Executive, Xavier Gutierrez. Join us the next time for the latest from Bloomberg Power Players with another influential figure from the world of sport.